Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're going to watch this session. I'm so excited today. I've got a lovely Anya joining me all the way from Brisbane. I have been waiting to have this session or this interview with Anya, and I can't just wait. We're having it right now. So Anya, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Agnes. I'm well, and I do appreciate your time and your space and you inviting me to this interview. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Oh, thank you so much. So how's Brisbane today?
It's raining. It started, yes, it's a rainy day, and it's quite lovely. Yes, it's a good day to stay in the office, or if someone is working from home or just at home. Yes, it's a lovely day.
Well, Melbourne is the same today. Like yesterday was a good day, a bit of sun and just staying in. So I'm glad I'm still working from home today, so I can still just, after this, maybe chill back in and watch some more TV.
Yeah, why not? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I've decided to start doing this interview series, which I'm calling the Can Do Change-Makers series, because for the past almost 2 years, I've been talking to people who live with different chronic issues. And sometimes some of the stories might be depressing because we can't do anything about it.
Yes.
So I also wanted to find inspiring stories to my audience. And I thought, why not have people that I've known now in my community for a few months now, who are making a lot of difference in people's lives. And also just finding out to inspire others where you started from and where you are today and what you are going to do for the future. Because I feel, we need, especially in this day and age with this COVID, we need some form of inspiration to say, you know what, a lot of people have lost jobs because of the pandemic. A lot of people are having it tough. Sometimes it's nice to hear two success stories. And I know one of those stories that I would love to hear is yours, because I've heard a bit about it. So I'm excited to have you.
Thank you very much, Agnes. And I'm more than happy to share what I have and what I learned, what I went through. And yes, absolutely. And I think it's very important also, as you said, to find stories or to connect with people who support you, and find something that supports you, whether it's a story, whether it's a music, whether it's a good TV show, but something that really gives you joy and uplifts your spirit and gives you faith, and just, makes you feel good for the day and for the time being. Because yes, it can be quite hard, particularly at present moment, all through the whole pandemic times. Yes.
Yeah. Well, to begin with, why don't you tell us about yourself? So who's Anya?
Yes, thank you. I'm a mindset and communication coach, and what it means, I help people to find solutions to their problems or achieve their desired outcomes through emotional intelligence, thinking out of the box, and also through persuasive, effective communication. So these mindset and communication are my main two pillars, what I work with. And yes, my clients found it quite helpful for what they wanted to achieve. Okay, so that's what I do now, yes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I know I have been to your website and I'm yet to come back officially as a client, because I know I do need some form of just trying to reorganize my life. I've told you this, that I do have a lot of projects. I've done a mini plan that I think is working, but I do need an expert to just help me see things clearly. And I do believe in what you do. I've seen a lot of things that you've done, and I'm excited to see how you can help me in the future.
Oh, so. Thank you very much, Agnes. And it will be certainly my pleasure and to work with you, to partner with you, and to help you the best way I can. And generally, the clients or people that I work with, I call my partners, really, I'm just a conduit. I'm just to elicit, particularly in mindset field, to elicit their greatness, their solutions from them, because they often already have it. But sometimes, we get so caught up and stuck in our own heads. It it happens to me.
Yeah,
to go to see someone to help me. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
But yes, so when we get stuck in our own heads and in our own patterns, we may not see something clearly that might be something right in front of us, something so obvious and simple. And because we think, we can overthink, we can overcomplicate, and we overplay scenarios, going backwards and forwards. And as a result, we actually lose a lot of resources like our energy and clarity. So,
exactly.
yes.
Yeah, I've had that before. Seriously, that's why I had to rearrange my life and just to see what can work and what can't, and when I should do something and when I shouldn't, and when I just need to sit. So far that's working okay. Yeah, but looking at you, I know we've had a bit of a discussion before that you and I are migrants in this country. And at one platform I shared for me my experience where I came here with high hopes, and all those were just dashed down when I realized that what I thought I was going to be or to start with in this country didn't really work for me. But you're also a migrant who's gone through something similar. So tell me about your migration story, how maybe you or your parents migrated to Australia.
Absolutely, yes. So I migrated to Australia in 2000, and I came here with my family, my mum and my stepfather, who is unfortunately no longer with us. Yet we migrated here from Russia. And in Russia, before I moved here, I got a degree in teaching, and I worked as a school teacher. I also did some work for university. And when I moved to Australia, I guess what I found, and I knew before I moved that I pretty much had to start from the scratch, because, all the achievements, I guess our physical achievements, or tangible achievements, my accreditation, the degree that I got in Russia, the experience.
Yeah.
Technically, it wasn't recognized in Australia. So that for me, that meant I had to reset and start everything from the beginning, even go back slightly, not in time, but start something new, start learning something new. And of course find a job, which wasn't easy,
Tell me about it.
That wasn't so easy. Even simple job like finding, not simple, it's not actually simple, but a job working in a restaurant or working in hospitality wasn't easy to do. It's actually quite a demanding job. And so I ended up getting a job at a local Italian restaurant, which was my first job in Australia 20 years ago. And I still keep in touch with these wonderful people because I learned a lot from them, and also had a great time, and we worked hard. It very much, you have to forget about your former qualification, not forget, but maybe just put on hold.
Just put them somewhere and don't
put them somewhere. Yeah, that's right.
Else be told that you are overqualified.
Yes. Well, you still have to have skills, right? If you put in beverage sector and on hospitality, you still have to carry 3 plates and know how to open the bottle of wine. And tell you that in the beginning, it didn't work for me that well. I was dropping plates and couldn't open the bottle of wine, breaking the cork inside. So yes, but at the time, you do what you need to do to put the food on the table, also to contribute to the household, to pay for the lodgings, and you need to focus on that and then think, okay, what's next? Next I went into a university in Australia, and I started marketing. There was business degree, marketing and advertising, and then I got into the field of marketing, advertising and communication, and I worked in that field for 15 years. So however, it all takes time. It's not an overnight process. And I guess for migrants, yes, we have to work quite hard, as I'm sure all people here, and everyone has their own circumstances. But yes, sometimes we just need to focus on how can we make the best out of the situation that we're in, and notice more positive things, notice more opportunities, because of course no one gives us a guarantee or assurance, that our life will go beautifully and smoothly. It will be all one straight line, that there won't be setbacks. And no, it doesn't work like that. So,
it doesn't work like that, Anya. I'm not sure, maybe you did your homework when you came here to actually know that, yes, my qualifications won't be acknowledged. I have to start all over again. For me, it was the other way around. We were misled, so we came here with high hopes, and all we did was save to say, okay, we've got money for a car, we've got money for the household goods. I'm sure we'll be okay for the first 6 months before we get a job, and then we find that no, that's not the case. And because of that, like, I would want to ask your opinion in terms of these skills. Like, I don't know, you are not an immigration department worker or anything, but what do you think, like, the lack of skills that all these people that come in with the health, a lot of wealth of information? I know of somebody who's she's worked for the past 7 years. She was a doctor, I think in Russia also. Yeah, she was a doctor in Russia. She works as a personal care worker in the hospitals because they can't recognize her qualifications, and she needed to sit for English and all these experiences that are missed out. And there's so many jobs. Actually, they're sourcing jobs from, overseas. What do you think? Like, where's the disconnect here?
I guess there's the disconnect. I guess, each country has their own standards, in terms of what qualifications they recognize and will be accredited in another country. And I think that's the disconnect. And at the time when I moved in Russia, I think they recognized in Australia qualifications only from 2 universities. And they were both in Moscow. I'm not from Moscow. So the disconnect, yes, I guess that there's no unified standards for maybe for countries, something, that standard that will be accepted both in Russia, in the US, in UK, in Australia, something in a medical degree maybe, or some, and it may not be so easy to implement it. So that's, unless there is a unified standard, but I'm not aware of it yet. Some people very qualified, very talented, very smart, yes, they come to Australia and another country, and they find because it is not recognized, they almost have to kind of a little bit step down in their professional status to work. And sometimes, I guess it's just, sometimes it's maybe, if you look at it, that it's something, well, it's a reality, it is at the moment, it is the reality. So it just, maybe accepting, going through the process, going through the motion. I know it's a lot of paperwork, and yes, there are exams. And I also did the exam in English, even though I was the teacher of English and German back in Russia, but I was made to sit that exam. But it's something, if you're moving to a country, I think a few things one needs to accept, that it's a huge change. It's a huge transition. And it may not be smooth, and it can be uncertain. That could be a little bit stressful for people who move. And are you willing to embrace it? Or are you willing to sit and think, for years and years, but in Russia or somewhere else, I could have been this, or I could have been that, and it's possibly, but yet we all have choice. And
exactly.
Ultimately, we made a choice to make a move. And with that choice come certain things, certain things that we need to, I guess, embrace or accept, that may not be perfect for us, yet they're there. They're part of the reality. They're part of life. They're part of the new society, culture, economics, institutions. And if you move into a country, big change, yet I think part of it is what we need to do is to embrace the change the best we can.
Yeah, I like that. I like the acceptance part where you sort of actually just embrace, because I did go through emotions.
Yes.
And it's not easy, but you go through those stages where you sort of in the end you're like, there's no way I can do this. And for me, what made it worse, actually, I even had a return ticket, so I had to go back to my ticket so many times until it expired. One foot in, one foot at the airport, one foot at home. Like, when do I pack and go and decide like what's best in the end, what's the best for my family. I like where you talk about acceptance, because ultimately at the end of the day, when you accept, you can face anything. And so, I reached a point where I was like, okay, that's it. Let's put the heels in the bag, put all these nice jackets, suits away for now. And now roll my sleeves up. What can we do? And we had to do a lot of manual jobs, and but at the end of the day, they pay the bills. They do pay the bills, as long as you embrace and be able to be comfortable. And it's a new life. But at the end of the day, the objective is for you to live, a good life with your family and be able to pay the bills, be able to supplement the education fees as well. So
yes,
it worked. It ended up working. I like that. Acceptance is the key. Really, it is a key, because you can just be depressed for the whole period.
Oh, you can absolutely. If we constantly, just look at, this is not working, but, back then I would have been that, or could have been this person, or could have that achieved. Well, and then you have a choice.
What makes it worse?
Yes, it makes it much worse.
Yeah,
that's right.
And if you have your friends, like your friends are back home, now they're managers, they're all these. And then if you dwell into that, I'll be like, nah. Now, this is my new life. I need to look at the positive. What are advantages and disadvantages, the positives and negatives? And to see that, actually maybe the positives really, that's why we're here, it really did outweigh us going back at the time. So I'm glad I'm hearing it from yourself as well. Yeah. So now you ended up, designing or having this business. What steps? So you finished your university, got the qualifications. Yes. What sort of jobs did you now take up to sort of embrace the Australian culture?
What jobs? Well, so after university, I got straight out of university. I worked in a packaging company as a marketing assistant, and then I moved into natural health, natural foods and supplements health sector. So I worked in that industry for about 10 years. I worked for a couple of different companies. And it's ultimately what, and you will see these brands on the shelves of the supermarket or chemist warehouse or any pharmacies or natural health food stores. And it's ultimately helping people to live healthier lives by giving them, supplements, nutrients or vitamins. And my job was to create communication initiatives, marketing initiatives, campaigns, and that sometimes would involve, for example, large campaigns, something promotion on TV, billboards, digitally. Of course, social media is quite big now. So that was my job, to implement the marketing campaigns and communication initiatives that would go to consumers. And also go to businesses. So it's business to business and business to consumers. So that I've done it for quite a while. And also I worked with different distributors. So for example, some brands I would look after would go only certain, or would be marketed differently in different countries according to their regulatory standards. And yes, so I've done it for quite a while. And yes, that was very enjoyable, and of course you learn a lot in the
and that was a change. You come in and you're just like, okay, where do I go? Let me go and work in the restaurant. And then you have this lovely job. I'm thinking it was very interesting to even learn about other countries and marketing, and so you sort of open with this being able to communicate with people from different countries. It must have been a very, very exciting job, isn't it?
It was, yes, they were all great. You all learn something, and people are talking with people from different countries like US, Canada, UK, also New Zealand, and there were other countries. It's just, yes, it's wonderful. You can connect with people anywhere in the world, and the more you connect with them, the more you speak with them, you know, you build a stronger connection, and you can relate to each other better, and ultimately, you know, you can see that we all have similar needs, and have different perspectives, and this is how you learn. So yes, that was very exciting. And I think part of the actually moving into the new country is embracing, you know, also different cultures. I was
just about to ask that question. Yes, the culture. We'll talk about the culture. Like, how did you find, you know, just embracing things that, you know, you thought, you know, and what were the main differences, or what shocked you, like when you moved from Russia to
what shocked me? Probably nothing. What shocked me? What really? Can't think of anything that really. Oh well, if I tell you what shocked you, you probably will be laughing. It's not cultural. It's cockroaches in Australia. This is what shocked me. And it still shocks me nowadays. So I know.
You never saw any in Russia?
Oh, we do, but they're tiny ones. You know, they're
so
very small ones. They're very small ones, and they don't fly. Yeah, it's 4 times bigger, and they fly.
Right.
It's absolutely. It's still. It terrorizes me when I see one. That was the shock.
Yes. Well, for me, it was really, we are really different in terms of the values and just the way we see ourselves from an African perspective, the way we dress, especially the dressing, because we came in the summer and we are excited. I'd been to a beach before, but not at the ocean, I think. No, I'd been in South Africa. But when we came in the summer. So just the way the people dressed, the dressing was also something that really shocked me. Like, people don't cover up much. So it's
yes, the dressing, dressing is different, absolutely, yes.
Dressing is different, and also like people are very friendly. Let me just say that Australians are very friendly. And at the beginning, I just found it odd where I'm walking in the street, somebody looks at me and they smile. I'm like, okay, so I should be smiling back.
Yes, very good.
People are very, very friendly. And so it was a bit of, but also in the workplace, something that really shocked me was just the language. I don't know, maybe it depends on which industry you work in, but just the language, the way people speak sometimes, and just, they drop some of those lovely words and
okay, yes, so yes, I know the word, yes.
So that shocked me as well. I'm like, oh, people just speak and just drop all those lovely languages. So
yes, that's definitely, well, some of the language, or for example, slang, when I moved here, I didn't quite understand. I didn't quite catch it. Sometimes still people say something, I said, I need to ask someone what specifically it means. So I don't
exactly that too as well. I remember, I think, because I remember there was a school event at school, and the teachers were telling us that no, just bring a couple of dollars or something like something like that, a couple of dollars or something like that. And for me, I thought it was just like $2, I think, or something. I can't remember, but it had something to do with the gold coin or whatever it is.
Yes.
And I just like, what are you talking about? Yeah, the slang, seriously, even now up to me, I still have some difficulties. I've been here almost 20 years, so I'm still learning. I'm still learning,
yes. And this is, that's actually, I think that's the advantage of being a migrant. You can say, well, no, I don't understand this.
Can you please
repeat? Yes. I'm a migrant, I'm half Russian, half Australian. I have right not to know every single word or single slang. Yes, definitely. And you're absolutely right in terms of cultural differences. Yes, between Russia and Australia, they're very strong. And one of the, dressing code is very different.
Is it very different for you as well?
It is, yes. Probably in Russia at the time, it was maybe more overdressed, but it was 20 years ago. I don't know what it's like now. From what I see, it sort of has become quite European style. But at the time, because the Russia was going through some turbulent stage of its development, the Soviet Union has collapsed, and there was big transition into becoming a Russian Federation. So people all of a sudden got access to, to freedom of speech, freedom of dressing, and dressing up has become something to aspire to in Russia at the time, in 90s or end of 90s. And yes, so that's very dressed. People aspired to dress up to the nines, even if they went out to a shop, to bakery, to buy bread or a piece of bread or something, to put the makeup on. So you can see, yes, the Australian, that it's very, can be very relaxed, and Australians are very friendly. And and the fact that they have so many different cultures interlaced, in Australia as a country, there are Italians, there are Greeks, there are so many different cultures, and Australians are very accepting and welcoming. And so that's made, I think, the transition so much easier. What I found very, I guess, different, me as a Russian being brought up at the time, don't speak up, don't I guess do or what people tell you to do.
Oh, the people tell you, you don't question your parents.
You don't question now, and
very similar.
Yes, sort of you don't praise yourself. You don't say, what you achieved, how well you're doing. Don't. However, here it's quite common, particularly now.
It is.
To say, I'm winning here and there, and so there's a bit of difference. And I think there is a good thing actually to acknowledge, that you're winning. You're doing, to praise yourself. Yes.
I tell you, I found that difficult even now. I think it's just in the past year that I said, you know what, I've worked so hard.
Yes.
I have worked so hard, and I think somebody just pissed me off where, where I was feeling good about myself, or so much that I've done, and then somebody just said something. Since then, I have always, every time I don't want to praise myself, or I'm like, you know what, I've worked so hard. Sometimes I worked, especially last year, maybe 16 hours, and my kids and my husband would be telling me that you work so hard. And I said, no, I will acknowledge myself. I will do this because I've earned it.
Yes,
I've earned it. I've put in so much work, and if no one is going to acknowledge me, or if somebody says this, I will acknowledge myself. Yes. And every time I do something, sometimes I'm very shy to actually put myself out there, especially before. But now, every time I want to do, because again, it's a mindset. I had a session with one of our networks, Annette, who actually encouraged me to do that. You can be able to acknowledge that you've sweated for this, and you earned it, you've worked hard, and you can do that. But previously, I would just bring in people and promote people, and I would leave myself out. Seriously, like even up to now, like something happening, I'm just like, no. And then I remember that, no, I should be able to also acknowledge myself, because I've put in so much work. I've worked so hard. So yes. I've earned it.
Absolutely. And it's so important, so for day-to-day experience of life, to actually live life, not to run away from life. It's so important to say, yes, I've done well something, or, it's like, oh gosh, I've done that thing today, or this is great, to really, to notice it, to put effort into noticing and saying how well you've done, because our brain constantly looks for evidence, that we are moving forward, or what's the progress, are we...
So why aren't we acknowledging ourselves? Why are we giving ourselves those pep talks and just be inspired? I'm like, I've done this.
Absolutely. Yes. And celebrating ourselves. And I think it's very important. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So now going back to your journey to where you are. So what prompted you to start New Life Design?
Probably my own journey, my own internal journey, in terms that I've been searching. When I was in my marketing and communications role, I started, I started noticing some internal queries, so to speak, or I wasn't feeling comfortable. I wasn't feeling satisfied with where I'm at, and trying to find the answer, try to find how can I get the outcome that I want to get, how can I contribute, how can I deal with feelings, negative feelings, or not when I feel down. Why am I feeling this way? How can I change it? How can I change my life for the better? Mm-hmm. So it's mostly comes from that internal state that's conflict, that something is missing, something is not feeling right, but yet you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah. And history, like what we go through, is the best teacher.
It's the best teacher, yes, absolutely. And I've had my own share of ups and downs, and some downs I didn't handle that well, and so some I dealt with well, but it's just, and that's, it's part of the journey. And then you think, okay, so what can I do next time? How can I do it better? How can I handle things, and be more resilient? And actually, ultimately, we want to live our life feeling alive. And I guess I felt that I'm not really alive internally. So I was trying to find that. And I believe I did, yes.
Okay, that's good. So did you have to do extra training for that?
Yes.
Okay, so what did you study? Did you
study
the course?
There's numerous studied so I undertook an extensive course. It's a master practitioner of life coaching and leadership. And what it includes, it just includes so many courses within that qualification. So it's neuro-linguistic programming. This is first, there are two levels. That's first the practitioner of NLP, and then master practitioner of NLP. I did hypnosis, same practitioner, master practitioner. There's also multiple brain integration technique, and it goes back to our nervous system and how complex it can be, and how we make our decisions sometimes, and what stops us from making the congruent, aligned decisions. Because sometimes let's say this logically that makes sense, but it doesn't feel right. So how do you bring it in alignment? There's emotional intelligence, leadership, EDISC, that's behavioral understanding. They call it behavioral analysis, but it's behavioral understanding, and that's what I use in my practice with people, and to help people I partner with. So yes, there are numerous qualifications within that study, within that qualification. And yes, and then of course the necessary part, you go and you practice it.
You practice,
you work with people. That's one thing.
Clients. That's a hard part.
And this is the fun part. Yes, the fun. Well, it's so yes, but it's necessary. It's just it's getting a piece of paper. That's once, or not even studying. When you study something and you sit through exam, even through university, as you know, it's one thing. You tick the boxes, you live and think, yep, it all made sense. It all I know. Then if you don't practice it, you don't use it, what happens to it? It just stays dormant, or we forget. We can easily forget things. So constantly practicing and applying it, it's absolutely non-negotiable. particularly for a person in coaching space, and even in communication program that I use for my clients. I still have to certainly practice some language structure and frameworks and some things that I recommend to my clients. So I need to practice it to make sure that to walk the talk.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So have you found the fulfillment? Because at the beginning you said there was just something missing. Now, did
something
you
missing? Yes.
the puzzles together and said, this was what was missing?
Yes, definitely. It's I know what was missing. It's what was missing, actually, me understanding of myself.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest part that was missing, me not listening to myself. Yet I know it sounds kind of simple and it's very general, yet it has so many components. It's how I think, what I allow myself to think. Does it work for me? Does it work for other people? What about emotions? Now I understand the complexity of emotions, and it's necessary to acknowledge them. Whatever it might be, even may not be a nice emotion, yet it's necessary to acknowledge. And there are ways to work with that emotion. Now I know what to do. I know better. And then, of course, there is a component on the level of our physiology, because our body is one of our greatest communication channels as well. So it certainly it goes into a fight or flight or freeze mode, as you probably know. And we can form some neuromuscular blocks, and then by having them, we don't allow ourselves to take a next step forward or to think more clearly, because we're in that zone where we block ourselves. So it's
that's a journey. Like I'm just inspiring out there, like what you discussed before, where you started from, and all this journey to actually own your business and changing so many lives, inspiring so many lives. Because I've heard your story, some part of it before, and I just get inspired, because for me, I've reached a point where now in my life, I seriously feel that's the path that I want. I know there's something missing in my life too, and that's what's missing, but I still need to sort of piece it completely together. But I know the direction I'm going. One thing is I need to be my own boss to be able to drive myself, because that's the fulfillment that I think I need at this point in my life. So I'm glad you found that. So, and so where do you go from here now? What's your next thing to do in terms of growing your business, growing your clientele? What's the future for Anya?
Well, that's what no one knows, Agnes. The truth is, how.
But what do you wish to accomplish? Let's put it that way.
Yes, I don't have a crystal ball, and I accepted that idea that I don't have a crystal ball, a magic wand.
Yeah,
that's part of it. And yes, I know we want to think that we can control, or we have as much control that we possibly can. And yes, I think we ultimately, we're not born with a manual, how to live life, how to work life, and no one is born with a manual. And I think the more ownership we take of writing it to our best abilities, including mistakes and whatnot, but the more we participate in writing it, our own manual, our own book, the happier we will be. It doesn't mean it's a perfect manual. It will be our own. And as for the future, well, I'm focusing now on taking on training groups, as well as I work one-on-one with people. So, but the next stage will be do more group training now, live group trainings, particularly now that I guess there is more freedom in terms of movement, speaking with people, and with borders opening.
Yeah, borders opening, and in the virtual world, there's no passport, you can meet anyone. So
yeah, that's right. So at the same, yes, that's my aspirational. That's my aspiration, and that's my goal. at the same time, you know, also realize that things can happen very fast, and things I can't control, yet I can control my response and do the best that I can. And I certainly have taken it out from, you know, when I moved to Australia or before, when, you know, when you can have very little, you can still be very happy and still make things work. So it's practicing flexibility. So definitely, yes.
I love that, and that's why you're a mindset coach. You just said it beautifully. I do love that. So you have spoken about, you know, being happy, learning to be responsible, and, you know, accepting your situation, and just, you know, being positive about the whole thing. So what do you do as a person to relax and just to be, you know, in that zone where, you know, despite the stress, you sort of re-energize? What do you do to?
Number one, actually, for personally, it would be self-talk. Is just things that I say to myself, even if I feel that I get stressed, or I feel, you know, the things can happen. You feel, you know, almost going into that fear zone, and just don't act. And I just remind myself, are you acting out of fear? You're thinking out of fear, you know, just, it's all going to be okay. I pretty much talk to myself, it's all going to be okay. Don't be afraid. Don't be fearful. It's, you know, do your best, do your thing, you know, you do well. So you acknowledge, you praise yourself. So there is there are different words and different mantras, but it's the words, I guess what resonates specifically with you. You know, for someone it could be, I'm winning. It's saying something like that, or I'm doing really well. For me, it's, you know, it's all going to be okay. It's all, you're doing good. You're doing great. Just keep going. You're supported. It's noticing also support. It's doing gratitude. It's writing, you know, what you're grateful for to yourself, what you're grateful for to other people. Because then we are able to notice that we are not by ourselves. Our mind notices, have all these people. This is wonderful. I can even just call someone and have a chat. And just focus. What helps? Yoga helps. Yoga, just, you know, some gentle stretches, breathing, and I do some breathing. There are different breathing techniques. So that can help with relaxation. And yes, but self-talk is huge, because we can either really embed the message that won't work for us, or we can embed something that can help us, you know, just having faith, because we need to have faith, you know.
And it is faith. There is a verse. I'm not very good at the Bible verses, but I know if I ask my sister outside, she'll yell out. She's good at Bible verses. There's a verse in the Bible which says, you know, there's power in the tongue, and I refuse to say bad things even upon my kids or myself. And if I do it, I'll just refuse it, rebuke it, because there is definitely power in what we say to ourselves and to others. So absolutely,
yes, words have a lot of energy. And it's and I believe in that too. And to your point, Bible has a lot of great things, you know, that one can actually to write out and remember. And I know some people actually remember by heart.
Bible. That's what I'm saying. I've got my sister right in this house. She's outside. She'll tell you exactly, like, this verse.
Absolutely.
And I did study religious knowledge at school. I was good at school, but I just went out of my brain. I was very good at memorizing Bible verses, but I've forgotten.
Sometimes, you know, it's interesting when you when you read something when you're young, it may not have, I guess, a lot of meaning, or it doesn't resonate with you as deeply as when you read it 20 years ago or 10, you know, later in life. You think, oh my, that has so much, that's so right, that is so right, this is, and can be very supportive and just gives a whole new meaning. Yes, it's just finding something that's really, that supports you. Or sometimes, I guess, one of the ways to also, you know, if you if someone goes through a difficult time, is to shift attention to someone else who is also going through a difficult time. And definitely, and it's also, yes, it's another point of support, that sometimes, by supporting someone else, you indirectly support yourself, maybe mentally and emotionally. And that's a great support, because then you are in a better space to actually take steps or do something that can help you. As well. Yes.
I see one of the things that I'll come and ask you when I make that appointment, but but that's something that's really, sometimes I have a conflict, like, why am I like this? Is there something wrong with me, where I literally take it upon myself? I'll be thinking about somebody, I get a message the whole night, like, but what can I do? What can I do? And I feel I do take so much on my shoulders for other people's burdens, but I can't control myself. I'll come for a session.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. But it's you're not the only one, Agnes. Sometimes we think, oh, when we start thinking, it's also common thought, oh, what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Well, most likely there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, not most likely, I can assure you, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Oh, Anya,
don't you think what is right with you? No. And it's sometimes, yes, you can't help yourself, yes, because you're driven by contribution. But sometimes I know it can be hard if people start
manipulating.
Yes.
They know that that's your weakness.
Yes.
And that also I'm slowly learning to recognize. People know that they learn that that's our weakness. The moment you ask for this, then she'll do something. And I remember years back, I did something very impulsive. This lady, just after my daughter had the bone marrow transplant, it was only our daughter bone marrow transplant. I could not sleep. In my head, I'm just looking at them, what we went through. Within overnight, I told her, you know what, I've got no money, but we can do like a GoFundMe. I've seen so many, success stories. And she was excited. She gave me pictures of our daughter. We created the page. One thing she forgot, though, was to tell the husband. And then the photos of our daughter was everywhere on social media. We published everywhere. And then the father just saw this child, like how African kids, and he was mad. He was really mad. We had to bring down the GoFundMe page.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, why didn't you tell him? He's the, and they live in the same house. It's not like they're divorced. They're living, I just overlooked, I need my daughter to have this BMT, and it was costing, I think, $40,000. And she was really desperate. And I understood that, but in the end, the father said, no. I was like, you know what, nah, this is for me to reevaluate myself, to ask a lot of questions, and know that, at the end of the day, a child has got a mother and father. Where do you stand as a couple? Are you okay with this? So
Yes, definitely. It's
just
do
something just impulsively without even thinking, because I'm thinking overnight, I've seen people raise millions. Honestly, what is $40,000? The world can help, but oh no, it's not easy as easy as that. Well, Anya, I'm looking at time. Thank you so much for just giving. This is the message of hope that I'm looking for. Different stories where I learn from you. I'm sure somebody is coming in, not just from Zambia, from Russia, from any other country, who say, no, this is normal. I was the managing director. I was the CEO. I've come to Australia.
It does, definitely. And it's also, yes, it's another point of support, that sometimes, by supporting someone else, you indirectly support yourself, maybe mentally and emotionally. And that's a great support, because then you are in a better space to actually take steps or do something that can help you. As well. Yes.
I see one of the things that I'll come and ask you when I make that appointment, but but that's something that's really, sometimes I have a conflict, like, why am I like this? Is there something wrong with me, where I literally take it upon myself? I'll be thinking about somebody, I get a message the whole night, like, but what can I do? What can I do? And I feel I do take so much on my shoulders for other people's burdens, but I can't control myself. I'll come for a session.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. But it's you're not the only one, Agnes. Sometimes we think, oh, when we start thinking, it's also common thought, you know, oh, what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Well, most likely there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, not most likely, I can assure you there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
Oh, Anya,
but noticing what is right with you. No. And it's sometimes, yes, you can't help yourself. Yes, because you're driven by contribution. But sometimes I know it can be hard if people start
manipulating.
Yes.
They know that that's your weakness.
Yes.
And that also I've learned, I'm slowly learning to recognize. Yeah, people know that they learn that that's our weakness. The moment you ask for this, then she'll do something. And I remember years back, I did something very impulsive. This lady, just after my daughter had the bone marrow transplant, oh, it was only our daughter bone marrow transplant. I could not sleep. In my head, I'm just looking at them, what we went through. Within overnight, I told her, you know what, I've got no money, but we can do like a GoFundMe. I've seen so many, you know, success stories. And she was excited. She gave me pictures of our daughter. We created the page. One thing she forgot, though, was to tell the husband. And then the photos of our daughter was everywhere on social media. We published everywhere. And then the father just saw this child, you know, like how African kids, and he was mad. He was really mad. We had to bring down the GoFundMe page.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, why didn't you tell him? He's the, you know, and they live in the same house. It's not like they're divorced. They're living, no, I just overlooked, you know, I need my daughter to have this BMT, and it was costing, I think, $40,000. And she was really desperate. And I understood that, but in the end, the father said, no, I was like, you know what, nah, this is for me to reevaluate myself, to ask a lot of questions, and know that, you know, at the end of the day, a child has got a mother and father. Where do you stand as a couple? Are you okay with this? So
yes, definitely. It's
just do something just impulsively without even thinking, because I'm thinking overnight I've seen people raise millions. Honestly, what is $40,000? The world can help, but oh no, it's not as easy as that. Well, Anya, I'm looking at time. Thank you so much for just giving. This is the message of hope that I'm looking for. Different stories where I learn from you. I'm sure somebody is coming in, not just from Zambia, from Russia, from any other country, will say, no, this is normal. I was the managing director. I was the CEO. I've come to Australia. This is a reality that, you know, for now, take it out of the CV, because you will be told you are overqualified. Yes. Take out all your masters and your doctorates. If you want just $1 to pay your bills, just go in with your overalls and your t-shirts. And then later on in life, that's when you say, oh, by the way, I also have a master's degree. Oh, and the doctorate and all this.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I know what happened to my husband, the company where I was doing this manual job, and then there was just this manager who was very interested in what he was doing. Upon just asking him what she used to do back home, and then she was following what she was doing. Immediately he graduated, they offered him a job as an accountant. From literally doing manual jobs at that company, overnight he was given a job as a managerial accountant. So, you know, things change.
Things change. That's the thing, Agnes. Things change. It's just staying as flexible and as, I guess, positive, but faithful, I guess, keeping faith and keeping faith in ourselves and in the opportunities and things working out, and having patience and doing our best, because we can't control everything that's out of our control.
Exactly.
We can control the best we can ourselves. You know, it's just navigating through life journey to our best ability and enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
So doing our best also.
Exactly. I was just about to ask you, like, what advice do you have for people like you and me who migrated to this country? Right there, you've said it. So yeah.
And that's right. We don't have assurance or any guarantee that things will turn out exactly what we want them to be, and or maybe sometimes we need to manage also our expectations and the stories that we play out in our wonderful minds, maybe making things very difficult for ourselves.